What's good, everybody? It's your brother New Breed coming through with another video. You know, I was sitting there thinking about the rich homie Quan situation, and a question arose. What's the price of fame? More often than not, we see these rappers have a couple singles on the radio. We see them get a short season to parlay, to shine, and then out of nowhere, they get taken out the game. I'm looking at this entire situation, and from my astute observations, I must say, someone did rich homie Quan dirty. I can already see the media mechanism put in place. I could see that the Young Thug RICO trial that has been airing like daytime TV. I could see that the ratings have took off because of Young Thug's association with rich homie Quan. I could also see certain rappers coming out speaking in regards to rich homie Quan's death. One notable person that came out to speak immediately was none other than Quavo. Now, Quavo is the worst of the worst. Quavo lined up his own cousin. And some of y'all might have forgot about that. Some of y'all may have forgotten all the details in that scenario with Takeoff. But I find a lot of irony that he's one of the first people to speak out and react. You know, the industry is dirty. It's so many people inspiring to be these artists. Inspiring to have their name in the stars and a trophy on the mantle. But at what price? I mean, I sat up here and I listened to the gruesome 911 tape. And the reason it's gruesome is because it sounded staged. There was no real human interaction or human emotion, rather. There was no sense of urgency coming from either party who was on that phone. It just seemed all so surreal. And then one part in particular that really stands out to make me believe that rich homie Quan was done dirty is the fact that there was someone else there. And when the dispatcher asked rich homie Quan's girlfriend to lay Quan on his back and attempt to resuscitate him, she asked another gentleman in the background. And for whatever reason, he asks, is Dre there? Is Dre here? Meaning, is somebody else here to help? Here, rich homie Quan's lifeless body lays. And he nonchalantly says, is so-and-so here? Dre being rich homie Quan's younger brother. Now, this really stands out to me because the Breakfast Club just covered the situation, and I want y'all to take a listen.
And details later came out that basically he was home. I guess he was asleep on the couch. His girlfriend, who was the one who called 911, said that he was asleep. She put a blanket on him, left, took their kid to school, came back and realized that he had never moved from the couch, which was kind of weird for him. So she went to check on him. And when she went to check on him, she didn't feel a heartbeat or anything like that. So she turned him over, and then he was foaming at the mouth, which is when she calls 911. And there's a 911 call out there that I am not going to play. It was just hearing her in the call. I just was like, man, I felt for her. You know what I mean? You hear people in the background kind of coming, and they're trying to figure out what's happening. But
why do we need to hear those 911 calls? Like, why are those released to the general public?
Why do we need to hear the 911 calls? Why are they released to the general public? Now, on this nationally syndicated radio publication, they're basically trying to hold the law at fault and our rights to be preview to the information. It seems like this program has an issue with that 911 call being released. But without the 911 call being released, we would have little to no evidence. We still have little evidence, but we would have absolutely no evidence to what took place.
Like, what's the reason? Like,
we don't need to. I think it's an invasion of privacy. I don't.
They think it's an invasion of privacy.
I think so. On the police side, when it's not a situation like this, I think it goes to the same thing that like a body cam does, where there's like they want to make sure that there's like a transparency in how things are handled from start to finish.
Exactly. Why would this radio show not want transparency on what takes place starts to finish? Because I'll tell you why. Whoever owns this radio station, and you know who owns it, same one that owns half of the radio station. Half of the radio stations and TV shows, same people. For some reason, they wanted to put that out there publicly that the law shouldn't be transparent when it comes to these situations. Now, what does that mean moving forward? Any other up-and-coming rapper, inspiring artists who may fall victim out of nowhere, you know, it won't be any evidence. The law won't do what the law needs to do. I remember when Tupac and Biggie died, we was in an outrage trying to figure out for years what happened to those brothers. Nowadays, we don't care. See, the mass majority of the world is afraid of the powers that be, and they want people to remain silent and docile when these type of situations take place. An invasion of privacy, that's the narrative that the media wants to spin, because people like me who have discernment, who can hear that something is extremely wrong with that 911 call, they don't want people to question anything. They want to be able to take out your icons, your celebrities, whoever, without nobody even batting an eye at it.
But also too, you can even, like, there are programs out there where even if it's not released to you, you can go and find a 911 call online. Anyone can go and do that.
Yes.
See, you can find a 911 call online, and they have something against that. And you know, the industry have so much influence that they're speaking to law enforcement. They're talking to the up-and-coming presidential candidates, telling them that, hey, we need this law in the book where 911 calls should be an invasion of privacy. Why? When it comes to what happens to rappers, artists, musicians, actors, actresses in the industry, we should have privacy on that. When there's so many mysterious deaths that's taking place, from Whitney Houston, Michael Jackson, Tupac, Biggie, the list goes on and on and on, and y'all don't want these 911 calls to be available to the general public? And it's also a way of demonizing anybody who plays the 911 call, who wants to question what we're being told.
But also too, you can even, like, there are programs out there where even if it's not released to you, you can go and find a 911 call online.
You sure can.
Anyone can go and do that.
That's
just
insane.
Yeah, like whatever. But man, I don't know. This one caught me off guard because I feel like Rich Homie Quan, he's been out the way. He says so himself. But there was a lot of people, just sitting there resting pieces. I know one of the first artists I saw post about it was Boosie. He talked about how he had just spoken to him and, can't believe what was happening. Little Kim posted about their relationship as well, too. Like, just, them having, like, a really great friendship. Quavo posted.
Quavo. Now, Quavo, we already know how Quavo get down. This is a dirty dude.
And there was a photo circulating of like,
we talking about the man who stood right there when his cousin got clapped while he walked away.
Quavo, Kevin Lyles, Takeoff, Offset, and just looking at that photo.
And you know what's interesting about this? After the death of Rich Homie Quan, all of a sudden, it looks like you're going to be having some sort of Migos reunion because apparently after Quan passed, Quavo and Offset chopped it up and they made that public. Could it be a sacrifice to get those two back together? Who knows, man? All we know is around the harvest time, around the fall time, all these rappers, entertainers, and artists start dropping like flies. You got Fat Man Scoop. You got Rich Homie Quan already. You got a mass shooting that took place in GA.
Photo, a lot of people were like, man, Atlanta, like we've lost so many good artists. And then Quavo and Offset are not even speaking to each other. And, these people are the sounds of Atlanta. Rich Homie Quan was also in that photo as well, too.
Well, they're speaking now, as of yet.
Now they're speaking as of yesterday.
Yeah.
Yep. Now you see how they're spinning this narrative right now? Now they're speaking.
Well, I was about to say, and then after that happened, Quavo posted that him and Offset had a great conversation. He said it was, a good convo with his bro when he put the infinity chain.
Oh, here we go. Now they're invoking the spirit of Takeoff. I wouldn't be surprised if these guys were label mates. And I believe they are. I believe Motown has a few umbrellas. And I know y'all be thinking that these artists be solo artists, or well, not solo artists, but you be thinking they're independent, but they're technically not, because they'll be on a mainstream label and they'll be under an umbrella, and they may be talented enough to ink off a deal for themselves, but nonetheless, they're still under that major umbrella.
Symbol in the prayer hands. So
that's good.
I hate to see it happen through grief, but just to see that they're talking and they're there for each other, because these guys all came up together. So I'm sure they have a relationship that none of us would ever understand. But there were also some things circulating online that I thought were pretty interesting. Just some conversations that Rich Homie Quan had been having over the time, and he struggled with addiction for some time. And
now they're putting in a narrative out there already that it was some addiction and, it was some type of drug overdose. Although we have not gotten any toxicology, we have not gotten any autopsy report or anything such.
Again, his cause of death has not been confirmed, but there was a big conversation yesterday around, just some of the things that he had battled with while he was here. Let's take a listen to him on My Expert Opinion.
I can't drop no music. My show money down. Man, I got a dark cloud over my head, bro. I probably was the person, I would definitely say, I probably was the lowest I was in my life. Because you got to think, man, I went from here to here fast. I blame myself. And it's growth. And I know it wasn't my fault.
Was it drugs involved?
Oh, yeah, man. I was on Molly every day. Geeked up. Bite down. Listen, I'm talking, bro, I felt like I couldn't do a show or a song without being on Molly. Before some type of way, we was doing so many shows, I couldn't stay up. So I knew some people like,
what's the price of fame? Why was this young man on all these drugs? What has he seen? What was tormenting him? What was the source of his addiction? Now, y'all got to be careful out in these streets. I try to warn you, brothers and sisters, to get off these damn drugs, particularly these pills. Shout out to Hurricane Chris. He was talking about that on Vlad TV, how a lot of these youngins out here are dropping off these fake ass pills, and how it's basically taking a chance with your life. You playing Russian roulette every time you cop. So, what's the price of fame? Are these people just tortured souls? Why do they got to do all these drugs in order to put out a track? What's going on with them? It's a demonic industry. And everybody who falls victim in that industry is a sacrifice, because all their family resources, they end up losing it. And everything tends to go right back to the labels. With that being said, let's seek something higher. Seek the Most High. Seek truth. Live your life the best way you can. And stay out of trouble out here. With that being said, shalom and peace.